allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll start at that end for introductions.
Mary, recording secretary.
Matt Miller, trustee.
Tammy Higgins, chair.
Al Ward, vice chair.
Sherri Van White, secretary.
Patricia Dunn, member.
All right. That brings us to approval of this agenda. Does anyone have any modifications or changes?
Motion to approve, if everyone is on to it.
I'll second. Regular
Just this agenda. This is the agenda for this meeting.
sorry.
Miller first, Dunn second. All in favor?
Aye.
Then we'll go on to approval for our minutes from September 9th, and we have two. So the first one we will do will be approval of the regular meeting minutes. If you guys remember, we had a public hearing for it, so that'll be separate. So just for the minutes of the actual meeting.
Motion to approve September 9th, regular meeting minutes.
I'll second that. So Miller first. Higgins second. All in favor? Okay. And the next thing would be the public hearing meeting minutes for our sign ordinance. If anyone has any comments. Ford first,
Second.
and then Miller second. All in favor? Okay. We have, next item on our agenda is communications. Does anyone here have any communications on the board? Mr. Chair? No? Okay. And then that will bring us to our first call to the public. We'll have 3 minutes. So anybody want to say anything at this first call to the public? Go ahead, Debbie.
Hi, good evening. Hey, just wanted to put a plug out there again for a community-wide survey as we get deeper into the master plan. Brought it up a few months ago for some other type of feedback from the community as a whole. Not everybody can make it to this meeting or these meetings, so it would be great to put something on our website. Certainly happy to help anybody out to do that, but other local townships have done that as well as the Livingston County Planning Commission as well. So just wanted to put word out that for consideration again. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Well, we have our land planner with us today, so that can be something.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anybody else? No? All right. I'm going to close that first call to public. We will have a second one later after, at the end. So we don't have any public hearings today, but we do have to go to some, the next item is our unfinished business of our master plan review. And if you all know, we had 3 meetings where we just as the board got together, and what we did is we went home with the master plan and we each reviewed it and brought what we thought to the table, and as a group put that on some paper, on notes, and I sent it to Mark, and then he compiled it, and he is here today to go through what we said for all of you to hear. And I'm going to hand the floor over to you, Mark, if you're ready. And,
I'm ready.
all right, so go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I've got my August 27th correspondence in front of me. I've gone through, as Tammy just noted, I've gone through the many comments. The vast majority of them I'm comfortable with. But I have flagged those that I either have a question about or want to maybe shed a different light on the particular issue. And I'm going in the order of the August 27th table, but you will see I am I'm not stopping at each line on the table. I am only going after the ones that either I have a question about or concern about or something else. And I've got my copy of the master plan that I've got these stickies, so typically I'm not even looking at the table. I'm just running through it by going through the plan, but I will reference what the issue is that I'm responding to. Okay. First, there was a comment, this is on page 1-2. That page presents some long-term interests of the township, one of them being the third bullet in particular, if you have your master plan in front of you, being, in summary, protecting the township's natural resources, including productive farmland. And the issue was raised as to it's not the township's responsibility to protect natural resources or farming. And I don't know the extent whether this was just a comment or whether the planning, it's the planning commission that also supports, as a whole, supports this comment. With that said, it's long been established that that protecting farmland and natural resources is a legitimate government interest. And if you do that in a legally reasonable manner, it is accepted as a legitimate goal of a community. However, if the community itself doesn't support protecting farmland and natural resources, then the leaders of the community are typically going to follow public sentiment, where it's legally legit to do so. So, if you, hang on.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, the master plan talks about preserving resources in farmland. The Zoning Enabling Act makes reference to assuring the availability and food and fiber to society as a legitimate government interest. The challenge is how far a community wants to go to do that, to protect farmland, to protect natural resources. I have one or more, or had one or more clients, where the minimum lot size was 40 acres. And you could have one dwelling per 40 acres, commonly called quarter zoning. I have or had clients that have their entire township is pretty much zoned agriculture, and they have a minimum half-acre lot size. You folks are going to have to decide how comfortable where you are in this continuum of how aggressive or not aggressive do you want to be. We've got the policies in the plan, but how you choose to implement them is at your discretion. Yes, Sherri.
Okay, so what you're saying then is the township controls the farmland?
No, I mean, the township doesn't own the farmland. Township can't force someone to farm their land. But there are other measures that a community can take if it wants to ensure that farmland, if it gets developed, either is possibly developed at a very low density, developed in a manner that preserves makes available home sites, but at the same time, sets aside significant farmland acreage and open space for future use or in perpetuity. But a municipality can't force someone to farm.
So.
And I'm sorry, Sherri, just to answer your question, or part of your question clearly. It's not township's farmland.
Right, and so I don't feel like the township should be able to tell the farmers what they can and can't do with their land, provided it follows the zoning.
Mhm.
But it's not, and I said this at the meetings, it's not the township's responsibility to preserve farmland. If that farmer wants to sell their land, they can sell their land.
You mean under the current zoning?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I can't, if any landowner wants to sell their land, whatever they're doing with it, generally speaking, the township can't interfere with that.
so when it comes up and it says the township wants to preserve farmland, that, they can't do that.
Well,
The township can't do that. It's a landowner's right, with whatever they wanna do with it, to the zoning ordinance.
yes, the zoning ordinance dictates. So ultimately, it gets down to what is in your zoning ordinance. If you're in a municipality, and I'm using an extreme example, if you're in a municipality that requires a minimum 40 acres lot size, it's going to go a long way, if not to protect farmland, at least to protect natural resources and open space. I'm not pushing for 40 acre zoning. That's not my decision. But you can do it through zoning, or you can take a different approach and not do it at all. You folks,
Are there some other approaches? Like, I think everyone in this room wants, whatever side you're on everything, wants to preserve open space.
mhm,
And I know that, I think I had mentioned, and it's later on, because I've heard it talked about as purchasing the land development rights. You know, there's other things, like the township as a whole, as people, we can buy the property. Because like, I see some of the problem is 2 acre parcel minimum. That will make this place just have 2 acres with houses everywhere. And everything that everybody wants, and I know solar's the big thing on your mind, it won't be the rural character, I don't think. I mean, it'll look like it, but there's not gonna be farming, there's gonna be houses every 2 acres, unless you can afford to buy more. It comes down, it's capitalism, it comes down to economics, what you can buy and sell.
mhm.
And unless we like, I know myself, I wanna have, I've presented it before, where, I'm just gonna use Acadia Estates, where you have that big open space. I mean, in my ideal world, you have condensed housing, smaller yards, and you have a big open space that everyone shares, and it stays like that, and that's in your deed. And then you have corridors where there's open space and animals and, you know, what I think people want. But right now, our zoning ordinance isn't, it's 2 acre parcels, and, you know, we could buy the property and own it. I know, I grew up downriver, and in Groseal, the township bought the land. They own the entire middle of the island. But it was the taxpayers who bought that property, and now it's there, and deer run around, and there's walking trails. But that's something as a community we would have to want to do.
But if we had, okay, say I have a 40 acre field, we need some money. Why not sell off 2 acres on the front, 2 acre lot? Probably, I mean, there's limits, but sell off a 2 acre lot, get that money and keep the back farmland. I mean, that's a flip side of selling 2
No, and
2 acre lots.
I get it, but then like, eventually the next owner of that, like, we all are in heaven, we hope. You know, somebody else is like, I don't want it to be the 2 acres, I want to develop this whole thing, or, you know. But if the township could buy the 2 acres from you and maybe get money, I don't know. You know, and then we start buying up land.
In this zoning, what irritated me, Mark, was it said the township wants to preserve farmland. Why not say the township wants to encourage the preservation of farmland? Or natural resource, encourage the preservation of natural resources. That's not gonna stick, you know, I mean, that's not gonna put a craw in somebody.
Is that what you had in your notes, is you wanted the change to be that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, encourage it, instead of saying, no, we're gonna preserve farmland, when it's not really our place to preserve it. That's a landowner, as far as I'm concerned.
But to preserve the farmland really is a policy and a zoning policy thing that we use to preserve as much as we can. There's no ordinance that can take private property from farmers. That's ridiculous. Our policies, our board has set their mission, and they've made a statement that one of the goals of the township is to preserve township. That's not wrong. And we do that through the mechanisms that we have in place. And there's nothing in place that's going to take anyone's rights or their property away. I think the argument's ridiculous, is what I think.
Well, when somebody reads this, I mean, I read it that way.
Mhm.
And if you can just put encourage preservation, I think that would be better.
We're not editing now, but I have no concern. At the moment, I have no concern using encourage. It ultimately gets to the same point. And if we put in encourage, let's pretend it said encourage. That's a policy. That then ultimately puts it back to you, to the township, to determine how it wants to do that. And whether it means keeping the current zoning structure and standards in place for the future or for some undetermined time, so be it. The second item I want to touch on is on the next page, page 1-3, on the left side of the page. We're talking about day-to-day administration, and the third bullet is review of land development proposals. And there was a comment to revisit future land use and goals, which I think was Tammy. And I'm not sure what that meant.
Okay, 1-3, and I said it, revisit future land use goals.
I wasn't sure what that meant.
Oh, a list of township goals and objectives that should be reviewed when considering proposed rezoning requests. I guess I was looking at that as like this list of township goals and objectives should be reviewed, and I think I was just calling us out.
To do that.
Yeah, what are our goals and objectives?
Uh-huh.
I mean, obviously we say preserve rural, I mean, I get frustrated because I feel like it's like preserve the rural character, but like I just said, to not beat that horse up anymore, 2-acre parcels with houses, eventually all cookie cutter up will not be, I don't think, what we all want. I mean, it won't probably be in our lifetime, but really, if you're in the game of preserving land for future generations, I don't think that's a good policy.
So your comment is more about this is something we need to do when we have certain proposals to come in, to review our goals and objectives and our future land use policies.
Yeah, and I think maybe nail
As
down-
applied to that proposal.
Yeah, and
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. Next item is on the following page, 1-4. There was a question as to where the second column, fifth paragraph down, it starts with the dominant land cover in Iosco Township. And at the end of that paragraph, there's a reference to about 90% of the township comprised of ag or open spaces. And there was a question of how did that come to be 90%? Or how is that number, how do I get
But is it accurate? Yeah.
So the township is about 23,000 acres. A little bit less than that, but close to. At the time this plan was put together and using the 2010 census, Iosco Township had 1,352 dwellings. If you prescribe 1.5 acres of cleared area for each home site, the home, yard areas, whether it's 1.5 or 1, in the end, it doesn't matter that much. But if you assume 1.5 acres per household, then that house, the lawn areas, basic yards, multiply 1.5 acres times that many dwellings, you can do the math, and you find that residential, of the approximately 23,000 acres comprising the township, residential makes up about 9%. When you take residential out, at least here in Iosco, take residential out and ag out, you don't have much else. So that is how, I mean, you've got minimal commercial. So that is how that's how the 90% came to be. It was through math based on the size of the township, and if you were to, instead of attaching 1.5 acres per dwelling, and you wanted to change it to 1 acre, you just do the math, and it's the 9% I just referenced a little earlier is going to drop a little bit, but not significantly.
Okay.
It's because you have so much farmland.
I just was looking at it, and I know that people, even though I know what you're saying, the house and the yard, but sometimes people have a 5 acre, or 10 acre, or even 15 acres, and they're not farming. You know, it's just residential.
Right.
Well,
Or,
I believe that goes to the open space, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
If
it's ag and open
Okay.
space.
If the sentence was specific to farmland, yes, it would be less than that.
okay, that's what maybe my brain was
Okay.
going to. When I thought about that, I was like, wait a minute.
Okay, I am now moving to page 2-2. There was a comment made that we need to encourage orderly development, or to add a bullet that in support of orderly development. If you look at the 5th bullet, I think that, I don't know if that was overlooked or folks were thinking of it from a different perspective. Because the 5th bullet reads, encouraging orderly development, including compatibility between adjacent land uses and minimizing traffic hazards and nuisances.
I have a little chicken scratch, and remember this was like our brainstorming. I says, how can we do this better? How do other, maybe, I guess I was just thinking, when it says encouraging orderly development, including generally adjacent land uses and minimizing traffic hazards and nuisances, I might have been going to maybe how we could better do that. Again, I think it goes back to that 2 acre parcel and the strip development type stuff. That
Okay.
isn't, I don't think we do, I mean, Bull Run just has a driveway every however far, and it's a 55-mile-an-hour road.
Got it. Thank you. On the same page, just below, a comment was made regarding add alternative energy to growth management. this page addresses, it's all about growth management. The comment, add alternative energy to growth management, I wasn't clear on what exactly was being, what the thought was.
I think that was your,
Yeah, it
that
was.
was your comment.
Oh, well, with
Oh, yeah.
solar and all these new things coming in, not specifically solar, is there a reason for us to add something in there to include possible things that may be coming within the next 5 years or so? Example, solar, just like you always say, it's better to have it in here
Mhm.
and address it than not to have it in here. And I think that's where that was kind of going.
Okay, and so Patty, is it your desire that this text talk about, I'll use solar as an example,
Okay.
talk about, I'm giving you two extreme ends. The reference to solar could say, as part of growth management, we think solar is fantastic. And it should be included within this moving forward for the benefit of growth management and the township. Or are you saying solar energy and other alternatives, sorry, I'll just stay on solar. Solar energy presents challenges, and we, as part of our growth management efforts, should be looking at that very carefully and within the context of both advantages and disadvantages of solar energy expansion.
Me personally would choose.
Well,
Would
I'm,
choose the second one.
okay, all right, that's what I wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not that I.
It's
want-
not in support, it's more,
It's not in
we need to be
support.
careful and think about this carefully.
Yeah, and it goes back to us, you telling us many times, we need to include these things. It doesn't mean we're going to have them.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean they're gonna happen. It's just they have to be addressed in the master plan. No, I do, no. I'm against it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. So, yeah,
Thanks for listening to me though.
thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for explaining those two clear choices.
Okay, I am moving to page 2-5. First, I think it was Tammy, on the left column of page 2-5, item 14. Tammy, you had raised the question, objective 14 talks about exploring the development of a greenway plan. And Tammy, you had asked if anything's been done about it. I certainly haven't done anything about it. I have no idea to what extent this objective has been discussed by the Planning Commission, the Township Board, or anyone. But it's there, and,
Number 14 at the top of the column.
Oh, I was wondering. Yeah, I just said.
Tammy, I think you were just asking if anyone's followed up on that.
You're right, that is what I was asking.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
I'd say
No one has
so.
contacted me about it.
Okay.
Also, just below that, the first line under farmland, it says approximately 64% of the township is devoted to ag. And someone had asked if that 64% is a reasonable number. There is no, generally speaking, there is no reasonable or unreasonable. There is no state law, or there's nothing in the zoning enabling act that says you have to have X% of your community in farmland or residential or industrial or commercial. Every municipality can, at least on the surface, can approach it however it feels is best for its particular situation. If you were to go into the thumb, a lot of those townships are more than 90% farmland, more than 95% farmland. You come down here, and you're not going to see those numbers like you would in the thumb. Go up to the UP, and you'll see, in terms of farmland, you'll see less than that. So there's no magic number. There is no goal you need to meet. There's no number you can't exceed, go below. It's what works for you folks. And when I say you folks, I should be saying what works for the township. Next item is on page 3-2. I'm purposely not naming names, just, number one, I'm not looking at this table so much as I am just going through this with my stickies, and the name doesn't specifically matter. But the issue was raised as how we can tastefully encourage natural resource preservation and keeping development from going into sensitive resource areas, whether it's wetlands or woodlands or what have you. And the issue was to how to tactfully state that. I would tell you, I believe we are already tastefully saying that. For example, if you were to, and you don't need to do it, I'm trying to save the hassle, but I'm going to jump back to chapter 2 where we talk about goals and objectives. One of the categories is natural resources and the environment. We have objectives in there such as, and I'm just reading the relevant parts, encourage the preservation of the quality and quantity of local natural resources, including wetlands, woodlands, others. Encourage land development that actively strives to preserve the quantity and quality of natural resources. Review proposed development in light of its potential impact upon on-site and regional resource areas. Also, if you jump to page 3.5, right column, there's a heading, preservation of natural resources. So chapter 3 deals with future land use policies. This section is specific to the preservation of natural resources. The last sentence reads, in part, where a portion of a parcel contains environmentally sensitive areas, development should be directed elsewhere on the site where practical alternatives exist. There is stuff in here that, well, what's tactful and not could vary depending upon the reader. I believe it's tactfully said. I don't think it comes out as being heavy-handed, but it does send a message that the township wants to preserve its resources, whether it's through site planning or other related measures. If there's something, if I am missing what the concern was, and there's some other aspect that isn't getting enough attention in the plan, maybe that is it. but I'll take any input. Or maybe what I just said kind of resolved the issue. And we're not, sorry, one last thing. We're not making decisions here that are dictating the future of the master plan. That, I am going over your comments so I can better understand what you folks were thinking.
Yeah.
I think the way you just explained it cleared it up, at least for me
Okay.
personally. Because I think there's a lot in here.
Yes, there is. There is. Okay, I'm gonna, anyone else? Otherwise, I'll move forward. I am jumping to page 5.3. There was a comment. There was a comment on page, for page 5.3, second column, paragraph 1, which I'm assuming is the kind of boxed, shaded paragraph. But the comment was to refer to solar in this paragraph. And the paragraph as written doesn't, well, I guess I need clarification as to within what context solar energy specifically would be, what are you folks
What were we
thinking?
Yeah.
Personally, when we were having that conversation, it was generally through the whole text of the master plan that there was really nothing about the renewable energy part of it. And we understand that we worked through an ordinance, we worked through an overlay, we did all kinds of work on the overlay or the ordinance for that. And is there still a necessity to address solar in every one of these categories that it would work in some way or fashion? Or is the ordinance that we have in that overlay going to suffice? Is that all we need to have in that ordinance regarding that type of development? Because every one of those type of developments, there's spot zoning, there's all kinds of other issues, and we don't really address it at all in this ordinance as it is right now. We believe that there might be some intention to do that, or maybe we don't need to because of the standalone ordinance we have, so.
Well, I think I understand. Here, we're talking about the master plan. So, if I believe the key question here is, should the master plan include however long or a discussion of renewable energy generally, including some references to specific types, the value of renewable energy, the advantages, but the disadvantages as well. I think it's very reasonable for that discussion to include, depending upon where we are in the plan, to include policies or goals and objectives addressing how renewable energy should be addressed in Iosco Township, whether it be wind, solar, or otherwise. We have in the zoning ordinance and overlay district. I think it's beneficial for the plan to include language that supports the zoning approach that is in place regarding solar energy. Unless you folks are, between now and when you get to it, unless there's a whole change in perspective. But whatever that position is, yes, it should be in the plan. It should talk about to what extent you folks want to encourage or discourage, or what restrict, or what kind, not specifics, but whether that those alternative energies sources should be restricted or permitted to proliferate, however the demand dictates. I think it would be advantageous to have a specific section, maybe multiple times. For example, one in goals and objectives, one later in chapter 3, perhaps, future land use. Yes.
That's kind of what we were wondering, should that be included in that master plan, myself anyways. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So still staying on 5-3 in that same grade paragraph on the top there,
Yes.
would having the word, you have the word in there, energy, would that suffice? I mean, do we have to be so specific to say wind or solar? I mean, just energy.
Not in there, because that is a quote from the Zoning Enabling Act.
Okay,
So that,
energy stays.
energy state.
And energy
Sorry,
works there.
if you feel this is a good boxed, shaded paragraph, and it is a excerpt from the Zoning Enabling Act, we can't put in or take out words.
Which is fine, but.
I know it,
Yeah,
So, but that doesn't stop the township from inserting policies or goals or discussions elsewhere in this plan addressing renewable energy.
I think what happened for me personally, I don't know about anyone else, but when we started going through this, we were still in the thick of solar.
Mhm.
And I think having a preponderance of wanting to do the right thing, we thought maybe we need to start putting energy in here as part of the master plan. That's because,
Sure.
I'm gonna tell you right now, most of this I'm fine with, you know, but I think, like for myself, I'm like, oh my God, do we have to have solar in there? Do we have to have this, you know? And that was on our minds because we've dealt with it for a while. And I think that's why it actually came up for us.
I agree.
We wanted to do the right thing, you know, without saying, oh yeah, let's do it, or, you know.
Mhm.
And I can just say too, listening to your explanation, I don't know, like, if we're gonna have something about solar, I'm like, well, do we need to have something about drilling? Do we need to have something about nuclear plants?
Yeah.
You know, do we go that far?
Mhm.
Just if it's all's fair, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Won't renewable energy fill all those
Well,
instead of being specific?
I don't think it'll fill nuclear, but I mean, I just know, probably not in our lifetime, but like there's those small modular nuclear reactors that they're creating, you know. Someone might want to put one somewhere, I don't know. Just thinking,
Forward thinking.
yeah. And just in the, I guess I think of, like, I always think about the lawyer issues, you know, like, well, why do you call that one out and not this one, you know?
Okay. Last item, which I think I figured it out as I was preparing for the meeting. This is on page A6. There was a comment that to replace 2008 with 2010. And I could not find the 2008 in the location that it was noted in the minutes, but I think now the 2008 is under government administration. It's the only place we have 2008.
Yeah,
Is
the
that-
addition on the building where our
With-
offices are was done in 2010.
Okay, thank you.
I know because I had to sit in here all that summer.
Didn't mean to bring it up. Yeah.
No, it's all good. It's in the past.
Okay. That was my last specific question or getting clarification. I do have two other issues though, or comments to make. Your minutes did not, reading your minutes, it led me to believe that the planning commission was reasonably comfortable, or somewhere between reasonably and very, with chapter 3, future land use, and specifically the future land use map, and basically where we were or weren't or aren't directing residential or commercial or industrial. I just want to make sure that wasn't omitted, and that if the future land use map as it reads now were to be adopted tomorrow, that I'm not trying to pin you down, but that you folks are fairly comfortable with that chapter 3. I mean, it's a very important chapter. It puts forth future land use policies, and specifically, it actually starts putting stuff on a map that sometimes gets people excited. And there are lines on the map, which sometimes gets folks excited.
So were you asking it that way?
Yeah.
Like, are you hinting around something we missed?
No, not at all, not at all.
Like,
It can change. If there was strong concern with chapter 3 generally, including the future land use map, it just can suggest a different route that one takes when you go to update the plan. Because chapter 3 is key.
Should our overlay district be highlighted in this?
It could be put on the future land use map. It could be. It doesn't have to be, but it could be. So I just want to make sure you answered my question. Looks like there's general comfortability at this point in time with the overall character of chapter 3. The other last item is, and as you brought it up in one of your meetings, Public Act 153 of 2024, which amended the amended the Planning Enabling Act. And it changed things in a number of ways, nothing extreme. One is that the Zoning Enabling Act, Planning Enabling Act touches upon elements that must or should be included addressed in a master plan. And the act was amended to make reference to an assessment and forecast, an assessment of housing and a forecast for future housing to meet the housing needs of the community. Whether that results in a specific revisions to the plan is to be determined, but it's something you should be aware of. Other changes were Planning Enabling Act delineates or provides that the Planning Commission must, the individuals on the Planning Commission must represent key aspects of the community. And under the current, prior to being amended, it makes reference to various things, whether it's traffic or the environment or schools, public services. In 2024, the act was amended to specifically reference housing. Again, there is this, within the planning arena, long time growing concern that the housing needs are not being met for much of the population, or a significant part of the population. So that is why now housing is specifically referenced as a example of a primary interest within the township. It doesn't mean you have to have someone on the planning commission that has some critical link to housing. There aren't enough planning commissions. There are fewer planning commissions than there are the different categories of the community that you want to represent, that the act wants represented. So some are, so maybe someone has special expertise in 2 or 3 areas. But anyway, it was amended to make it officially a consideration when looking for, to appoint planning commissioners. That's basically the changes. And whatever direction you take on those, I don't see changing the substance of the master plan. So now trying to bring this all together a little bit. From what you folks have a decision, and that is whether you feel that the revision issues that you have identified suggest an immediate need to move forward and update the plan, or whether you've identified some number of concerns, none of which are immediately pressing, but you don't want to let it go another 5 years. Or whether, you've identified issues, some revision issues, none of which are particularly substantive, and we can kick this down the road for another 5 years or more before having to pursue an update. You're generally comfortable with the with Chapter 3, future land use. Looking at all of your revision notes, there is, I don't see anything here at 8 o'clock Tuesday night on October, where are we, October 14th? I don't see any most of what I see is word tweaking, or not just word tweaking, but embellishing on certain things, and expanding, such as renewable energy. That's my take. That may or may not be your take, and that is without soliciting public input. So I'm just taking what you folks have given me.
If you could expand on the public
Sure.
input thing, because I know some
Sure.
called public asked about that.
We, when this plan was put together, when the current plan was put together about 5 years ago, there was, at the time, a lot of concern about the about the strength of the current plan, the plan that preceded this one. And there was more concern about the quality of the zoning ordinance. And it was decided to move, in part, out of wanting to make sure the township was in a sound legal standing. The decision was made to, let's focus on the zoning ordinance and then follow it up with the plan. Not the way it's typically done, because the plan usually presents policies that then shape the zoning ordinance. But there was concern. So we went, put the zoning ordinance together. That sent us back to the master plan, which was put together to, in part, to support the zoning work that had just been completed, which during the zoning work, we actually did have, to an extent, some planning conversations when things were being deliberated in various instances. So we did not do a survey 5 years ago. We are now, at this point, it would certainly be reasonable to solicit public input. It is important. As you know, you're up there to serve the citizens. You may feel you have a good read on the general public, but most communities will undertake some sort of public input tool or tools to try and get some substantive public input. That can take the form, that can be in the form of any number of options. It can be a survey. You can do it online. You can mail out, traditional hard copy surveys for folks to return. Still, not everyone has access to online service, so some communities do both. Some do it strictly old school, sending something in the mail to be returned. In addition to a survey, or instead of a survey, you can do what is commonly called a future vision town meeting, where you would invite, essentially, you're putting out notices that a town meeting is being held. The notice would explain what the town meeting is about. Typically, the way they are orchestrated is folks come in, they sit around tables of 6 or 8 people, other residents who are coming in. Ideally, there is a planning commissioner and/or township board member at each table who is the recorder. And the way this plays out is attendees are given 3 exercises to do, and you're in one big room. One is to identify what you, as an individual attending, what you think are the worst aspects of Iosco Township. And that is a brainstorming session where you go around the table and everyone gets an opportunity, and you'll go around that table for 5 or 10 minutes. If it's my turn and I say, crime, okay? Whoever's the recorder can't argue with me, shouldn't agree with me, just takes what I said and records it on the list. And everyone around that table gets to say what they want to say. They can say anything and nobody can argue. It's not a debate. It's an opportunity to get your thoughts out there. And you can go 2, 3, 4 times around the table within the amount of time that you're given. Usually people max out fairly quickly. But all 8 or 10 or 20 tables are doing this simultaneously. And then typically the recorder at the table, just so everyone knows what everyone else in the room is thinking about, usually the recorder commonly will read, let's say, the top 4 dislikes about Iosco Township at each table. So the whole group gets a sense of what people are thinking. You do the exact same exercise, except instead of what you don't like about Iosco Township, what you do like about Iosco Township. Same thing, go around the table, you're allowed to say whatever you want. Third exercise is usually something along the lines of you are high up in the sky looking down on Iosco Township in 2050, and the township has evolved exactly how you all wanted to see it. So when you're looking down, what are you seeing? And go around the table, same format. That information is then tabulated and made public, but particularly for the benefit of the planning commission, so they can see what local folks are thinking in terms of what's good, what's bad, and what they hope for the future. The benefit of a town meeting is it's much more open. People can say whatever they want to say. Unlike a survey that if it's going to have some ease of tabulation, you need multiple choice answers. You can have open-ended questions, but the more open-ended questions there are, someone's going to have to record those thoughts. And it's a little bit more challenging and time-consuming than multiple choice. The town meeting is asking very general questions. A good survey should ask some much more specific questions, such as, by example, do you support, question might read something like, commercial development in Iosco Township is generally limited to here, here, and here. Do you feel the township should encourage more commercial expansion? Similar question from a different perspective is, would you rather see Iosco Township encourage more commercial development, or would you prefer to address your shopping service needs in any one of the nearby communities, whether it be Fowlerville, whatever. 2 questions, totally different, but trying to get to the specific issue of how important is commercial expansion to the residents of the township.
So you guys have a good guideline in those questionnaires, and when would be a good time to incorporate a public survey or public meeting? Yeah, I can certainly provide you an example. Yeah.
Normally, it is done early in the process, because once you decide to do a survey.
Before we did what we have done?
No, you're okay, because right now, as far as I'm concerned, Iosco Township has not started the process of updating its master plan. It may not at all. I mean, this is a great exercise, but ultimately, the decision to move forward has not been made yet. So we haven't started it yet, but because of the information you get from it, if you don't do it in the beginning, in the comparatively early stages, then you're wasting your
What's
time.
reasonable notice for the public? 30,
Correct.
60 days, what's a reasonable notice?
You get differing opinions. If it was a,
From your professional?
from my, if you're sending out a letter form survey,
Can you do both?
sure. It all depends on how much you want to spend, you know, the township wants to spend, and, you know, basic considerations like that. If it's a mail out and mail in survey, typically those surveys will say, the survey must be received within 2 weeks.
Do you see a high response rate when those surveys get mailed out?
I typically, from my experience, it usually ranges from 20 to 35%.
So, little.
You're not going to get, I don't think you'll get anything like that at a town meeting. I don't mean to boo-hoo the town meeting, it's very easy for someone to fill out a survey in the comfort of their home. Not as easy to come to the Township Hall. Some folks don't like speaking in front of others, and you know, we're just uncomfortable with it. If you go longer than 2 weeks, people forget about it. They just chuck them, and yeah, I'll get to it. But 2 weeks seems to be soon enough that if they're interested, they're going to take care of it, as opposed to it just falling on the floor and getting lost. To do a survey, between developing the survey, getting it out, tabulating it, all that is going to be at least 4, maybe more months, from my experience. Some folks will use
I was gonna ask, are there professional authors that you hire to help you with this and the questions?
say that again?
Are there professionals, outfits that you can hire to help you
Yes,
with the
sure.
questions and
Sure,
the costs and quotes and all that?
yes. And you know, if you can go to MSU, and they have a survey research center. They will cost more, but it is a service out there. And considered very good. So, everything I've talked about, everything you've mentioned that got into this table is without, I understand you've been taking public comment, but it is without a kind of a formal, made available to everybody opportunity to offer comment. So I would encourage the township to think, particularly since it wasn't done on the first plan, 5 years ago, and I don't recall how old the prior master plan was, so I have no idea when.
It was on a typewriter, probably.
Okay.
It was old.
Okay,
It's
so,
probably from the 70s.
it's quite possible.
It wasn't that old, but I think it was more than 5 years old.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to assume that the public has not been surveyed in any formal way for quite some
I'd say
time.
the larger public, because probably when it
Yeah.
was written way back then,
Mhm.
the public was whoever was here.
So I think that's another important consideration. While we're talking about this survey, let me just say something real quick. If you do a survey, the information you are getting from a survey is one piece of the puzzle. It is not the whole puzzle. If you have 100 people, if you have 100% of the respondents saying, we should increase the minimum lot size to 20 acres. And I'm purposely picking something that I think isn't likely. That is not a mandate for the township government to bump the minimum acreage up to 20 acres. The fact that the biggest portion of respondents to the survey said, yes, we should bump it up to 20 acres, knowing you got, let's say, 25% response rate for the entire survey. That's important to know, that you have that many people who feel there should be a higher acreage. But you have other things that you have to consider. You've got a bunch that any planning commission has to consider. You have to think about public services. You have to think about natural resources. You have to think about traffic, road infrastructure. You have to think about where your wetlands are. All sorts of things that come into play. So months from now, if you've done a survey, I'm suggesting not to say to the public that, well, we have to do this because that's what the survey respondents said.
How does that go over with the public?
Well, the public who said that aren't going to be excited, will be excited, but not for a good reason. This isn't just a numbers game that whoever gets the most votes is the way this township is going to evolve. It is a piece of information that of the 30% that responded, these are the predominant views. Let's keep those in mind as we try and balance everything else and look at other factors that need to be considered. In no way trying to suggest that the survey is a waste at all. It's critical, in my opinion. And you use it for what it is. It is a reading of 30% of the township population, or township households, depending upon how you mail it out, which, if you do this, is going to be something you need to think about, whether you're going to mail it. First of all, if you mail it versus online. If you mail it to only property owners, taxpayers, versus others that legitimately live in the township but don't pay taxes. That can be, some communities have struggled with that.
If we did mail one, what's an acceptable number of questions? Or, I mean, I would think less is more. You don't really want to bombard someone with 25 questions, I would think.
I would definitely bombard them with
Really?
25 questions.
25.
If you, yeah, there's some questions that could have multiple parts, so it's not that simple. But if you want to get good information, you have to ask questions that people can absolutely relate to, that the answers are specific. You folks might be debating about, well, should we give commercial development more of an opportunity? You know, we have commercial development here in Parkers Corner, maybe we should expand it much bigger. If you don't ask the question on the survey, what do you think about commercial development in the township? What do you think about industrial? We have, Iosco Township, for all intents and purposes, does not have, I think, any industry or any noticeable industry. Maybe the township public is thrilled about that. Maybe some aren't. It would be good to know who supports, the numbers of who supports what. You've got a tremendous amount of farmland. You also have land that is not owned by farmers. Those that are farming the land, their views may be very different than those who are in Acadia Estates. I'm just using that as an example, right? Totally different situation. That's a subdivision, the other's farmland. Different landowners, perhaps very different perspectives on certain topics. You folks should know that. I believe it's important to know whether the person who is answering this particular survey do they live on 5 acres or less? Do they live on 6 to 20 acres or 21 to 50 acres or more? Do you farm? Are you, you don't word it this way, but are you just a resident who doesn't farm? You know, you're just living here because you enjoy it. It can be valuable information to know who the nature of the folks you respond to. Someone who's lived here a year and is filling out the survey may have different views than someone who's lived here 20 years. And they may both not be farmers, or they both may be farmers. But it's good to have questions in the survey, you know, black and white. How long have you lived in the township? A question I typically include is on a scale of 1 to 10, with rural being 1 and 10 being urban, where do you feel Iosco Township is now? And then ask a second question. How would you like to see Iosco Township in the future? Again, 1 through 10. Do they want it more urban? Would they prefer to go backwards? Or stay as it is? All reasonable questions. Much more valuable questions than, by example, because I've seen this and I think it's a big mistake, having a question that says, what do you think the minimum lot size should be in our township? Most folks don't know what an acre is. They have no idea. I shouldn't say most. A lot of folks don't know what an acre is, let alone 2 acres. They don't know the dimensions that typically would be. They don't know that if they say we like a minimum lot size of 1 acre, that equates to a township build-out population. When it's maxed out at 1 acre, they don't realize it might be 40,000 people. Don't ask questions that when you get the answers, it doesn't really tell you.
You can always write comments, yeah.
Yes,
You have a
sure.
comment section at the end.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Then is it beneficial to publicly put out the results?
Yes,
Once you get everything
Yes.
tabulated and put together?
yes. Yes, you have to, sorry, you don't have to.
You should.
From a public relations and keeping the public engaged and knowing they are your clients, so to speak,
Right.
you have to.
So, my one, okay, you have me sold. I'm like, yeah, I think we should do this. But the thing that comes to my mind, and you're on the township board, is like cost and the approval for that cost. I mean, I'm asking, we could recommend that that we want to do that to Township Board and get approval, right? That's how that would work.
Yes, but, yes, the way I would go about it is,
Well, I gotta ask these guys if they want to go about it too.
okay, well, let's pretend you already asked them and they said yes, okay? I would give thought to soliciting consultants, telling them, you know, what you're doing, looking for a consultant to assist in updating the master plan. Tell them that they would, all sorts of things. We want to know the qualifications, past experience with communities like yours, qualifications of the individuals who would actually be working with the township and showing up. And provide a step-by-step, task-by-task outline of how this project is going to be completed and what the consultant is going to do for you. And include that you would like the proposal to address options for soliciting public input, the responsibilities of the consultant in that regard, and of course, the total cost, but the cost for each key element of the plan, such as the survey. I would, if there's definite interest in moving forward to update the plan, and the township board gives the planning commission authority to solicit consultants, in other words, not start the plan, just let's get some proposals in and see what it looks like. You know, I would imagine the township board, I don't think the township board loses anything in enabling.
Okay. Anything else?
No, not at the moment.
So, what do you guys think of all of that? Is there anything?
Public comment thing, we'll approach the board with that if everyone is on board, and I think it's a good idea. I mean, everyone does want, they say so in the master plan, and it's been made pretty apparent, so.
We'll put it in the minutes. We can, do I hear a
I think,
resolution? What am I doing? Do I hear a motion to recommend to the township board soliciting planners or surveyors?
Consultants to
Consultants.
update the master plan.
Consultants to
Update the master
update the
plan.
master plan.
do I hear one?
Do I hear a motion?
I'm on the board, so I want to hear someone else.
I'll second it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make the motion then to seek township's approval for,
What Mark said. Do you have
Yeah,
all that,
Mark said.
Gary?
I can email it to you.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all ayes, carried. All right, so I guess for now, we're gonna have to see what the township board says, and this will just stay on hold. And there's no issue with this not being done, master plan, like in 5 years, right? Because we're working on it.
You reviewed it?
Okay.
Thank you. So I know, obviously, your minutes document that you have reviewed the plan. That's critical. You can check that
Check
box.
that
You're
off.
good for 5 years. Now it's an issue of, obviously, where you go from here as to whether you want to update it or not, and all that sort of stuff.
Okay. Okay. Anything else anyone else wants to say regarding master plan on the board, or Mark, is there anything you want to say? No? All right, I think we're gonna move on from the master plan.
Before you go, who seconded that?
I did. Okay, so we're done with that. So our new business, we'll move on to, and as a site plan application amendment for Acadia Estates, combining some parcels.
So I'd like to give the floor to Mrs. Malidecky to explain on why they want to combine the lots, and then I will go into more of the technical things that you guys need to think about tonight.
Okay. Thank you for going through that.
Good evening,
Sitting through that
everyone.
new business, or old business.
I'm Karen Malidecky. My husband and I recently purchased 2 lots in Arcadia Estates, lots 15 and 16 respectively. And we would like to combine those 2 lots currently. Lot 15 is presently just under 4 acres. 2 are approximately open, 2 are wooded. And the adjoining lot 16, I believe, is just a little over 1.5 acres. Our intention would be to combine those so we have better placement for our house. Other reasons, better placement for the septic field. And on lot 15, there is a well that the the county health department has determined is viable, and that we could utilize that as well. Since most of the house would be on lot 15. So by combining that, 3 benefits: the placement of the home, the placement of the septic, and the use of a well that's already on site. And we have submitted our application and everything, I believe, that we needed to Ann.
Okay, so you were given the resolution from 2021 that the Township Board passed in regards to combining a site condominium, lots and site condominium development. There's 4 requirements. It was brought to my attention by a PC member questioning whether or not the 2/3 ownership has been obtained in signatures, which is basically the first requirement in the resolution. Kind of. So, there's 30 lots, 30 lots in there right now. There are 15 owners represented in the signatures. There's 23 total owners in the development. 18 lots were represented because certain people own additional lots. That equates to a little over 65%, which is really close to our 2/3. The problem that we have that I've discovered this week is 2 of the signatures are not on the deeds. And then only 1 person from the property has signed. So it's up to PC how you want to handle this, but we are going to need the additional signatures in order to get to your 2/3.
Okay. Could you go through, just so everyone can hear, the other 2 requirements? We have to have a
Yep.
public hearing.
So just so you know, your highlighted maps demonstrate what I just explained, if you have any questions. And then, so the other requirement would be, once you accept the application, you would have to have a public hearing. And this is from our attorney, because it's a revised site plan. Then, should the planning commission approve, recommend to the township board, then it would go to the township board, this is after the public hearing, obviously. It would go to the township board for final approval and amendment of the master deed that will have to be recorded at the Register of Deeds office.
Okay, and nothing has to go to the county?
No.
Okay. With the signature thing, how, like, because if we're gonna have to have a public hearing, we have to have 15 days notice in the paper.
Okay.
So, what are your thoughts on all this today?
I have a question.
Go ahead, you better do that first.
Okay, why not just build on lot 15? Why do you have to combine them?
Due to the township regulations with the property lines, you have to be, I believe it's 40 or 50 feet from your neighboring property line?
There's building envelopes in that site condominium development that they have to be built within.
So those aren't township, I mean, I think it is.
That was
That's
negotiated back when Arcadia Estates was
under the
developed.
PUD, right?
Yeah,
So why did they make lots that weren't necessarily gonna be able to be built?
Like an acre and a half.
you know, it's kind of like art, it's the eye of the beholder. You know, if lot 16, no, I'm not trying to be funny. Lot 16 you said was wooded? Or was it 15?
Lot 15 was
Okay,
wooded.
so it may be they don't want to tear down the trees. You know, it's
Part of it.
back when this was developed, which was way beyond when I worked here, way before that. They probably felt somebody's gonna knock down the trees eventually and build a house. I wasn't part of those negotiations back then. I wasn't even working here back then when that was developed, so I honestly can't answer that. That's just a guess on my part. Obviously, when Culver's developed the development, they felt it was a viable lot by itself.
Both of them.
Yes. And now you've got the case where they feel different.
Another question, Ann?
Yeah,
When you look at this, if this were to be combined, is there any potential zoning nonconformities it's going to create, or is it still going to be a nice conforming lot to our ordinance once it's all combined?
yeah, the only concern I've had is to make sure that storm easement is still maintained, and it is on the plan, because you gotta have your drainage. As long as that easement's not, obviously you cannot build in an easement, so that would have to be, carefully done. That was only my only concern when it was approached to me.
Because I basically, looking at this lot, I think the best thing that could happen is for it to be combined. It's kind of a excuse the French, a bastard lot in the back, and it doesn't really fit with the spirit of a cul-de-sac and emergency vehicles up around there. Every lot goes directly against that cul-de-sac. I think it would be great if it could be combined. It's just my personal opinion on it, and
They're allowed to in their master deed.
yeah. And
Because that's something I want to make sure it's a PUD, it's not just lots.
so,
So that's allowed in there.
so how, what's the, with the signatures, how long do
The
you think?
signatures would need to be corrected. Obviously, the sooner the better, because we do have those publishing requirements for the public hearing. I'll leave that to Mrs. Malidecky to think if she can get that done within a week.
Okay, before we.
Or, if it's
We
a
got Mark
PC's
here, does
decision,
Mark
yeah.
make that public hearing for us?
What's that?
Does our land planner make that public hearing for us?
That's
Who would
a
make that?
Julie thing.
Julie will write
Yeah.
it?
Julie will
Okay.
contact Mark if necessary
Okay.
for verbiage.
Mark?
Well,
I can see it.
no, I, a little confused. Did the attorney say why a public hearing is necessary?
He reviewed the master deed in section 7 on
Okay.
page 17 and section 1 on page 16, requires the consent of the township for any amendment to the master deed. And then that was the basis for him to also look at our policy that the township board decided on by resolution in 2021.
Okay,
And that's how everything came about.
okay.
So the township board decided the planning commission should just take a look-see at it?
Yeah, and this resolution wasn't cookie cutter to this development completely. It was cookie cutter to all our site condo developments, because to be honest with you, this is the first time it's ever been attempted to be implemented. And the actual talks started down in Iosco Ridge. back in like during COVID and 2021, when people were down there thinking about combining their lots so they could build an outbuilding kind of thing. Because we don't allow the outbuildings on vacant land. And that's how this whole resolution got started. Malidecky was the first one to test it.
It's the first time I've ever seen it, and I just know typically, a lot of times, what I understood, and I don't understand everything, but with the PUDs, it's kind of like, once the whole, big plan has been through us the first time, and they have their deed, like their homeowners association takes care of a lot of these kind of things, and their master deed and stuff, in the sense of.
Hence why 2/3 need to agree to it.
Yeah, and so, I'm fine having a public hearing, but I don't feel like the planning commission, and I could be wrong, we could say no, because their master deed allows them to do it. Unless something really egregious comes up, because the township
It's the
board's
policy
according to
that-
their resolution,
It's the policy
so it's
that we
okay.
have right now,
Yeah.
I can't change that
No,
policy.
I understand, it's fine, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's all good. I'm fine with them doing it. I know we're gonna, if we have to do the process, we have to have the signatures acquired within enough time to give Julie time
Yes.
to get that in the paper. And our next meeting is November 11th. And I can get it on the agenda a week before. I can put a public hearing in our agenda, but.
Right, but I have to
You have to have
notify everybody
15
within
days.
300 feet.
Yeah, so
And
that's I think the thing that have to be the communication with Mrs. Malidecky.
Yes.
So
If
those
we can't have it in
15,
November, we can do it in December.
how many are actually valid? Signatures?
It's it's valid signatures, it's not all the property owners. So if you look on the back of this map, if you
okay.
look at the back of the map, the two in blue are husbands that aren't on the deed. And then the highlighted ones are the person who's signed so far.
So like,
And the
So
policy
husband and
says
wife.
owners, so that means everybody on the deed.
okay, so like one of the parcels, it looks like one person.
Yeah,
signed,
so
but the other
if you
second
look
person
at
didn't.
Parrots, Zachary, Emily didn't sign, but Zach did. We
So
need
Emily-
Emily to sign. So it's a matter of going back and getting these signatures so that we have the 2/3 to move forward.
Okay.
May I ask a question? So I do know that there are property owners that own multiple lots in the subdivision.
Yeah, they were included.
So I don't need to get them to sign off on both, like, say, 18 and 19? if
No,
they
I
own
just
two
need
lots?
both spouses or significant other or partner to sign. Like Schwartz's own more than one lot. Eric signed, but Julia did not, kind of thing.
Are you guys okay with that? Like,
I'm good.
having a public hearing? I think they just have to get the signatures and application, and we can figure out when we have the public hearing, either November, or if not, we could do it in December. I don't think it's gonna be, just looking at 2/3 of the community.
Yeah, as long as they're fine, and Ann doesn't have any issues, I don't think anyone here opposes it, it's going through the numbers.
Do you guys have any?
You answered it, just make sure that drain right away was, we didn't finish on anything.
We're aware of that.
Okay, well, I think we'll close that down. I think we'll just have to get the signatures, and once we have
What
that.
deadline would the PC prefer?
Well, we guys wanna we'd like to do it in November,
Yeah.
but if we have to do it in December, we have to do it in December.
Okay.
November would be nice.
Okay, so that deadline for me to get you those signatures for November would be. It's 11. You need 2 weeks notice, 1 week prior.
15 days has gotta be in the paper.
Okay.
If you could have them to me by like the 26th, 22nd at the latest. Because then that gives a week for Julie to get the
statement.
the public hearing notice and all that done.
Yeah, I think she's gotta get the
I think it's
paper out
gotta
in
be-
7 days.
Well, it's gotta be published on the 26th.
And will you give me a list of the people I need to?
I'm assuming you guys have the originals, because I don't have
I have the
copies.
originals, but the ones that I need, the multi-signature,
Every one of these.
every single one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can make you a copy of this so you know all the names. I can email that to you.
That'll be helpful.
Okay.
That way.
Yeah.
But yes, I do have the original, so I'll just have them sign off on the sheets that we have.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I can't obtain everyone's by the 22nd, do we,
Then we would have to push it till December.
December, but 15 days? Okay, yeah, whatever your December meeting is, got it.
Well, I mean, hopefully, if you can't make the October date, you get everything to her by November, we'll definitely be able to put it on December.
Right.
Give us plenty of time.
Yeah, that notice will have to be in the paper on the 26th of October. So the sooner the better.
Yes, I'm hoping for this weekend, but then I have to make sure everyone's got home, so that's why. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then just have them print their name and sign on this sheet and just resubmit them in.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on from that, and no one else is, if everyone's done with that. Our future meeting, our next meeting is November 11th. And then Ann, I guess the next item then is our Township Board Report.
That'd be Matt.
Matt, sorry. I guess you've been here a little while.
DT's, the public hearing for DT rezone request is Thursday at 7 o'clock at the Iosco Township Hall, 16th. From my understandings, after occupancy has been met, it'll be standing room outside with your coats on with the doors open, from the last I heard. November's board meeting for the township has been rescheduled to November 13th at 7 rather than the 20th.
Well, I found that out.
I will not be here for November's plan commission meeting or township meeting. I'm going to go travel across the country and chase deer. So I will be gone for November. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Now your
And
turn.
now
Now it's my turn. I have issued 41 permits for the year so far. 7 of those are for new dwellings. In addition to those 41 permits, I've issued 13 waivers.
And then we had no zoning board of appeals.
No.
All right. So that brings us to our second call to the public. 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I just want to ask, so as far as the master plan goes, however you decide to proceed, like how will you let the public know? We're not going to change it, we're working on a plan. I guess it's just kind of a question on what we should be looking forward to as far as information.
I guess I would look on our website and look at the minutes and stuff and call, or you can email us. I mean, right now, I feel like we're gonna approach the township board and, you know, and it should be in their minutes too then. And that's the best answer I can give. And we don't have a cable community board or anything like that, so. Go ahead, Mark, go ahead, talk.
No, I was just going to say, just from experience, I would imagine where they are at right now, to the point that if they do go forward and actually start a plan or update, I imagine it's going to be between having to get approval from the board, soliciting proposals. It's going to be months, I would imagine. At least 3 months, I would imagine.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me answer that. Go ahead, Debbie.
Yeah, thanks again to the PC for considering bringing, community involvement into some feedback to the master plan. One quick thing is just to consider, I don't know respectfully, it will take 4 months to tabulate and get all that back with the advent of AI. I run surveys at work all the time, and there's a lot of, especially on qualitative feedback, when people just put words in, there's word clouds, that they will give you all the sentiments that you get from that, so just an FYI on that. Probably more than you want, they will give you that.
Anybody else you want to make a comment? Nope. All right, well, I'm going to close that second call to public. And are there any PC member comments? AI uses data science. Go ahead.
Just one quick comment. Right now, if I were to propose, well, I don't know the policy that the township has, such as in the case of what this individual is trying to do at Arcadia, or Acadia. Under the zoning ordinance, if I were to develop a condominium subdivision tomorrow, the ordinance doesn't require that I have to have a public hearing. Now, I understand the township board adopted policies, and that's fine. I recommend the planning commission put on the list of future amendments, that if in fact a hearing is going to regularly, by policy, be required for a condominium subdivision, new or revised as is being proposed, if there's always going to be a public hearing required by policy, then I would put it in the zoning ordinance where we delineate the approval process specifically for condominium subdivisions. Just so there's no variable interpretation and everyone's reading the same rules.
I like that, Mark. That's a good idea. Can you do it?
Sure.
Give me a draft. Okay, with that, I think we'll adjourn unless anyone else has anything else they'd like to say. Nope, we're all done at 8:47. Thank you, everyone.
Karen, thanks for having us.